Okay, so we can continue in order to conclude chapter number 2. So yesterday we discussed this slide where we can find both the classification of the different types of agenda. So we distinguish the business entities that are the economic entities that operate in the market. What do we mean when we say that they operate in the market? Do you remember? All the organizations satisfy needs. Remember that they operate in the market in the sense that there is a demand and supply when both when they acquire the unit of production because they find a market of suppliers and when they sell the product. So goods and services are sold in the market. Remember that. When we consider the economic entities that do not produce for the market, we have organizations, of course, these are aziende, they have the attributes of aziendality. However, they do not operate in the market when they buy the factors of production or when they give the production to the users. This is the case of public administration and non-for-profit organization. So what are the primary interests of these two types of organization? First of all, we want to underline that for both entities, the primary interest is to contribute to the common good. For sure. They contribute to the common good, satisfying needs, and creating sustainable value. However, what is the difference that we have between business entities and non-business entities? The difference is that while business entities have to satisfy needs, creating sustainable profit, so we can use the term profit instead of value. It doesn't mean that we have only to make profit for the shareholders and for the firm. Because if we use the term sustainability, it means that while we are producing profit, we do not create problems for the collectivity, for society, for the environment. We don't create social problems, but we contribute to solve problems. This is why it's important to add the term sustainability to the term profit. And do you remember why in this case we can use the term profit and is not, for instance, for the non-business entities where we have to use the term value in use? Yeah, but okay, they operate in the market, and since they operate in the market,
they need the profit. You will pay to have the service.
So the profit is a value, that we can calculate in how? How can we calculate profit? Yeah, revenues minus cost. And when we think to the revenues, we have what? We have prices that we find in the market. And we have prices that derives from the demand and supply. When demand meets the supply, we have the price for the products that we sell. Okay, so suppose that I want to buy this mobile phone. I find the market, yeah, of course, because I have to buy it. What is the value that I recognize to this mobile phone? If I pay 800 euros, this is exactly the value that I recognize to this mobile phone. Would you pay 5,000 for this mobile phone? No. Okay. Why you don't want to pay 5,000 for this mobile phone? Because you can find.
It's not worth it.
Because you say, I can find this mobile phone price of 800 euros. 5,000 is too much. Now, I change the situation. And I say that this is the only mobile phone that we have in Italy. Did you pay 5,000?
Yeah. It's always about the material. When you think about the raw material,
Yeah,
now in this period. They
good.
demand side, anything, for example.
This is market. Yeah, good. Yeah. So what's the problem? We cannot say that we have the same value always. It depends on the market. So if we have a situation of monopoly, it means that we have only one seller that decide the price, and it is not good for the community because normally the condition of monopoly create a situation where the firm that sell products reduce the quantity and increase the price. So it's not a good situation. That's why we have the antitrust here in Italy and also in other parts of the world. Okay, so we have revenues and costs. Also, revenues are given by the quantity that we sell multiplied by the price, and the price depends on the market. The same for when we acquire the input of production. You acquire the raw material, the quantity of raw material multiplied by the cost. What is a cost? You will analyze this aspect with Professor Brunelli, the part of accounting. But when we consider the cost is price multiplied by the quantity that we buy, okay? But from the economic point of view, the cost is a sacrifice of our wealth. So we have money, we sacrifice our money in order to acquire the input of production. This is the concept of cost. We want that, we have a cost when we sacrifice our money in order to buy that. And revenues, when we have revenues, what happened? So first we sacrifice our money, and then we increase again our wealth, because we can increase our wealth when our product is good, when customers recognize this value. But pay attention to the concept of value. So we don't have value only when we pay. Suppose that you are here and you don't pay taxes because your economic situation doesn't allow you to pay. So if you don't pay, it means that you are not receiving value. This is what, so when we have companies, of course, they sell. If you don't have money to buy the product, you cannot buy the product produced by the company. What about public administration? Public administration exists to solve the failure of the market. So when no one wants to produce something because it's impossible to make profit, the state said, I do that for the community. Because it's important, for instance, to have justice, because it's important to have public schools in order to allow everyone to have these services for the common good, always. Yeah.
Okay, but that is like hospitals.
Yeah.
You don't pay them directly, but you pay them with taxes. The difference between non-business entities and business entities is that the product of the service that you get.
But you can go to the hospital. Why? Because you have the rights to go there.
Yes,
because you are a citizen.
Direct way you pay for the
It depends. It depends on what. Suppose that I pay a lot of taxes every year. How much I receive from the state? Suppose that I pay 100. Suppose that I pay 100. Probably I receive value from the state for an amount around 40.
Tax that you pay will never be enough as the cost of the.
But it's because they're only people that can afford.
Yeah. So this is called redistribution of value. It means that I pay for services that others cannot allow.
Yeah, I'm paying. So why are they defining not business entities?
Because so they don't exist to make profit. That's why they exist. So, pardon, it's not correct. Because if I say they don't exist to make profit, it means that I have in mind that business entity exists to make profit. They don't survive in order to make profit. That is different. So, for sure, if I have a public administration that has a lot of costs, like a public hospital, how can survive? Because even there is an azienda. That's the problem of effectiveness and efficiency. So even if the public hospital operates with economicità, it cannot survive without money given by individuals, families, and firms through taxation. So the taxation is important in order to allow the state to satisfy needs that entrepreneurs cannot satisfy.
Can we say that the state is an azienda?
Of sure, it's an azienda. Yeah, absolutely. It's an azienda. Or we can say that the state is a sort of group of aziende, where we have the state, the holding state, and then all the other. Yeah, it's a system. Yeah, among different forms of organizations. However, pay attention, because when we say that we want sustainable profit, doesn't mean that the firm should be a substitute of the state in solving these social problems, because otherwise the risk is that we use the common good theory, destroying the firm. So my idea, you know what is if we have a wrong idea of common good, is better the shareholder theory. I want to give you an example. Suppose that one of you is the manager of a company. You are the manager of a company, and we all are the shareholders. Okay? And you, as a manager, you are a philanthropic manager. So it means that you want to solve also social problems. For instance, you can say it's important to finance non-for-profit organizations like Greenpeace. Okay. Now we give money, because we are shareholders, to this firm where he is the manager, it's the CEO. We give money to this firm for what? For doing what? We are shareholders.
Manage the company.
Yeah, manage the company and for profit, right? Because this is our desire. This is the desire that we all have. Doesn't mean that we don't have philanthropic motivations.
Philanthropic motivations also can give you publicity, markets.
Wait. Now, he said, suppose that we give him 1 million euro. He's a philanthropic manager and said, I want to invest 1 million euros to give money to Greenpeace. It's a donation of our company to Greenpeace.
I will never
Because-
invest in the company because I will not receive a profit from it. So
Yes.
no.
He said, but I want to be sustainable.
Is investing his money or money?
Good. If you invest your own money, you can do with your money whatever you want.
In the philanthropic, other people.
Yeah, oh, this is exactly what Milton Friedman, we can, okay. We can, so this is exactly what Milton Friedman said in 1970s. If you think to the social responsibility of the business, you cannot forget the profitability of the firm. If you use the money of shareholders to solve social problems, you are not doing what is right to do. So, but how can he convince us that investing for philanthropic reason is good? And we say, oh, okay, do that. When?
It can be a marketing idea.
Yes.
Something that give you some more investors or maybe some more customers.
Yeah, so you can say, but if we give money for philanthropic reasons, we can increase what? Our image, reputation. So in this way, we can increase also revenues. And so the profit for shareholders, do you agree? And this is exactly what is happening. Where there are now firms that communicate to the shareholders, not just the profit. They don't communicate just using the financial statement, where you have revenues, costs, credits, debt, cash. They communicate also using, do you remember, the social reporting. Well, they show, okay, these are the responsibilities that we have. And shareholders, the ESG funds, environmental, social, and governance funds, that are investors that are called responsible investors. But they are responsible in the sense that they link the sustainability to the profit in the long term. Because statistics, empirical evidence show that if you invest in social responsibility, probably you will have the profit not only today, but also tomorrow. So pay attention to the concept of sustainability, because you cannot forget profit. Otherwise, the risk is that the interest of the company, of the common good, is the interest of a manager that thinks to the sustainability, but without giving the right remuneration to shareholders. So we can ask him, you have to produce profit for us. When we receive dividends, I'm a philanthropic person, but I don't want to give money to Greenpeace. I have another association. For instance, I'm linked with Telefono Azzurro. I won't give my money to Telefono Azzurro. This is the way I can solve some social problems. You cannot force me. This is the idea of Milton Friedman. And I totally agree with him. Let me say, you cannot force shareholders to invest money in a different way, unless shareholders all agree. If we all agree, of course, no problem. But if you so life is the risk. So why you have to use my money in for achieving your personal interest, even if it's philanthropic? Okay, so this is an important point. Otherwise, the risk is that we consider business entities as non-business entities, and managers become politicians. They don't have citizens that elect managers to solve social problems. We have politicians that are in the government to solve social problems. Firms, of course, can contribute to the social problems, but this is what we have in mind. This is the economia aziendale. The economia aziendale, you always find profit and social and environmental aspects that have to go together. Professor Cavalieri, when he said, Professor Almaduzzi was absolutely right. We have the three conditions: economic equilibrium, financial equilibrium, monetary equilibrium. And it's important also to have good relationship with stakeholders. We have today the theory of common good that, together with the theory of stakeholders, gives us suggestions on how to behave with different stakeholders, but we cannot forget the equilibrium conditions of the firm. Otherwise, it's not a good model. If we think that firms has a social interest and the profit is not so important, after 5-6 years, we will say it's better to use the theory of Milton Friedman, the shareholder theory. I'm sure about that, because it's better. We have two options. If we have the failure of market capitalism, according to the common good, or we go back to Friedman, or what is the alternative? What is the alternative? Planet economy. So it's a planet economy. It's better to have one that at the center decide for everything, because you are destroying yourself and all the community. So it could be. You cannot say that it is completely wrong. This is the alternative. So the old model of capitalism doesn't work, and we know that. This is what the Americans are saying. So in the business school, Harvard Business School, 3 professors of the Harvard Business School wrote a book called Capitalism at Risk. And they say, how can we solve the global problem? The first idea is we can solve the global problem through the government. So the government give the rules to manage the market. But can we do that? Can we have a government that put a lot of rules within the market?
There will be a planet economy.
Yeah. So if we have the government that give a regulation that is too strong, it means that we have more or less a planet economy, and the market has a cost that is too high. It's bureaucracy. It's not market. So what is the alternative? So or is the government, but the government increase the cost of the market, or what is the alternative? So if we say, okay, the government cannot increase the regulation,
One should stop.
is to change the idea of the firm that they have not only to think to the profit is not the aim, is not the purpose of the organization, is a condition to survive and grow. So the firm has to contribute to the common good. But contributing to the common good in a sustainable way, remember, doesn't mean that you solve the social problem without taking into consideration the profit, so the right remuneration of shareholders and the firm.
Maybe even the customer idea. Yeah, not just.
So this is, I think that if we have this idea, we can contribute to the well-being of all customers, suppliers, state, everyone.
Customers make market, so customers might change, the firm will change.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So if good. So if we want really change the market, we have to change as individuals. But remember that we are also egoistic. There are a lot of us that are me. I'm an egoistic person. I do not only say, okay, there is a company that is responsible, the price is higher, and I want to buy that because the firm is responsible. Not only that. So we have to change, of course, some aspects. So the regulation is important, because if a firm goes against the common good, the government have to give sanctions in order to increase the costs of the deviation. So the government is important. And the government, politicians, for me, are absolutely important, because they have to say what is the common good. In each state, what is the common good? Politicians have to say what is the common good. That is the idea of common good.
They do not do that.
Okay. Okay, now let's move to the, now we focus the attention on business entities. So remember that business entities are aziende. The only thing that we change is that satisfy needs, creating sustainable profit. Okay, remember, because this is important. Now, this is our framework for what concerns the mission statement. So in this case, we don't just say mission of the azienda, but mission of the business entity. And here we say create profit. I don't want, even if there are some managers that say don't use the concept of profit, say you have to create value. Why, according to you, I want to use the term profit? Why? Why? You say, okay, but say they have to create value in a sustainable way. Why I want to use the term profit? Because I want to say that profit is important. Because otherwise some can confuse what is value. If I ask you this value for you. So profit is important if we want to move from the old form of capitalism to the new form of capitalism. So Milton, we cannot forget Milton Friedman. So I don't want to attack Milton Friedman, say that only thing to the profit of the firm. There are a lot of scholars that condemn Milton Friedman, but because they didn't understand Milton Friedman. Because what was I think, the mistake of Friedman? He wrote in 1970 an article published on New York Times titled "The Only Responsibility of the Business is Make Profit." But if you read the article, talk about the sustainability of the business, the not egoism, but personal interest. And personal interest underline also the aspect of human beings. So we have a lot of positive aspects also in Friedman. And we have also to remember that the theory of Milton Friedman was elaborated for USA company that have a lot of shareholders and that are controlled by managers. Because when we have a public company, the characteristic of the public company is not a company that is controlled by the state. The public company is a company where the capital is absolutely diffused among public. We have thousands and thousands of shareholders. This is the public company. And in the public company, what is the risk? Who controls the public company? Who controls Coca-Cola? If we don't have major shareholders, there are a lot of shareholders, but we don't have. So we have a lot of shareholders, but we don't have a major shareholders. It's not like Fiat. Who controls Fiat? Agnelli family. Who controls Coca-Cola? We don't have a major shareholder. So if the company is not controlled by shareholders, who controls the company?
But there is someone that has some shares.
Yeah, you can have, there are some public companies where the major shareholder owns, the major shareholder that is not the controlling shareholder owns 3-4%. For instance, in General Electric, the relevant shareholders owns no more than 4% of the shares. With 4% of the shares, you cannot control the company. So in this case, who controls the company? The top managers, the CEO. So what is the risk according to Friedman? That the CEO use the money of shareholders for his own interest, even if it's a philanthropic interest, damaging the interest of the firm. So that's why he said, for public companies, it's better to think that shareholders are the owners of the firm. Good. Yeah.
So a lot of people shares. I mean, for example, in the company,
They are elected by shareholders. Yeah, they are not appointed. It's not like when you have a company with a major shareholder, say, I want you, you, and you. Okay, I have 90% and I decide. There is the election. So there is a list of board members and shareholders say, yes.
For example, I want a share of Coca-Cola. But at first I can't choose, I can vote.
Yeah, you can vote. Yeah, of course.
And the vote in the balance of your terms.
Yeah, of course. So you can express 2 votes on the 1 million vote, but you vote, of course. It's like the election, political election, it is the same thing. So when you have the shareholder meeting, for instance, on Walmart, you don't have a situation like this with the shareholders in a room like this. You have sometimes some stadiums where you have thousands and thousands of shareholders, and they are not all the shareholders. So could be the owner, of course.
But not always.
Not always. Yeah. For instance,
That's the CEO. He manages the man.
Yeah. Is the chief, is the most important manager of the company, and he is appointed by the board of. Yeah. Is appointed by the board of directors. So when you have to select a board of a multinational company, just for the selection, you have to pay firms that try to find a good CEO for you. And normally you pay €500,000 just for the selection. Just for this selection. So for instance, we want a new CEO for Coca-Cola. We will look for the CEO. We go in China, Japan, USA, and so there is an interview. But an interview of CEO of Coca-Cola, can imagine I had the opportunity to assist to the interview of some CEO, powerful CEO.
For example, which company?
I cannot say the company. So, but no, let's say, okay, so this is what the money that I want for each year. A fixed part, more or less 1 million a year. So when you say a CEO, they say 1 million a year plus the bonuses if I achieve the goals that we fix. Yeah, but the problem is that, okay, 1 million is too much. I say I create value probably for 20 million. So I increase the value of the shares for 20 million. What do you want to do? Of course, there is a risk because then you appoint the CEO and you are not sure that the strategy will be good. And this is the rule of the board of directors. So board of directors has to appoint the CEO of the company. So, and what happens if the CEO is not in line with the interests of shareholders?
Find another one.
Yeah, they find another one. Indeed, when the company is not good in terms of performance, board of directors has immediately to remove the CEO. What happens if the board of directors don't remove the CEO? That the board of directors is removed by the shareholders. So shareholders remove the board of directors. So shareholders cannot remove the CEO. They can remove the board of directors.
And then the board of directors,
shareholders appoint or elect the board of directors. The board of directors appoint the CEO, and within the board of directors, there are directors that have the expertise to fix the remuneration of the CEO. There are some masters, so something that you get after the master degree, the second level master, where there are board of directors that stay there just to understand how to fix the remuneration of the managers of the firm. So you spend 1 year in order to understand how to remunerate the CEO of the company. So, and today, for instance, we link the remuneration of the CEO not only to the financial performance, but also social and environmental performance. That's why we see the CEO that invests in social responsibility. So we fix the remuneration part to the financial performance and the other to the social and environmental. So, of course, in this case, the CEO wants to achieve its own interest, and in doing that, we align the interest of the CEO with that of the company. That is not only profit today, but is also something else. Okay, now, and I want to link this aspect to the this is the model, the business model. Remember, this is the graphical representation of the business model. And remember that the governance is on the top. Governance. Governance is important. Here we have the board of directors, and the board of directors fix the mission and vision of the company. It is important, mission and vision, of course, when we have the board of, it's not only the board of directors that fix the mission. Sometimes you have also shareholders, it depends, because when you have a family business, normally the mission statement is elaborated mainly by the major shareholder, so by the founder. But when you have a big company, normally you have managers and also consultants that are external to the firm. Because they have, for instance, I elaborated the mission of some companies. So they asked me, how can we elaborate the mission? So there are some mission of big Italian corporations that are quite in line with the model that I'm presenting to you. Okay, now we can start now. So suppose that you have to modify the mission statement of the company because you want that the mission statement is in line with our framework. So the primary interest of the firm. Okay, so we can start with the mission statement of Fiat. And the first thing that I want to do is to understand if Fiat contain this mission contain all the elements that we have in our framework. What you produce is in the primary interest of the firm.
Yes. No.
How to produce?
Yes.
How to produce? So is in the primary interest? No. The why to produce? Yeah. Okay, good. So here we have that group. The group designs, engineers, manufactures, distributes, and sells vehicles for the mass market under the Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Lancia, Abarth, and Fiat professional brands, and Chrysler brands such as Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram brand vehicles and vehicles with SRT vehicle performance designation, as well as luxury cars under the Ferrari and Maserati brands. And then there are also other companies that produce components sectors and so on. Okay, so here we have what element of our mission statement? What element of the, oh, okay, what? Okay, we have the what. Now, I want to, it's just the what, okay? So it's not because you didn't understand, okay, it's what. Okay, so, according to you, is it sufficient to write the what? What would you add?
What? The why? How long? The time. Take off.
So this is the situation of Fiat. Here we have the holding company, pay attention, and then all the companies. Here we have Ferrari, Maserati, Fiat.
Ferrari is different from the other because Ferrari is like
Alfa Romeo.
Ferrari is different, but the Ferrari
No.
is different from Ferrari.
Yeah, but suppose now, for simplicity. Okay, so first of all, the first thing that we have to accept is that the mission statement is referred to the entire group.
So H, what is H?
H is the holding company.
Okay.
You can say holding Fiat or Exor that is at the top of the group, but this is the holding company. My first question is, can we say that this group is an agenda, or we have an agenda for each company? These are legal entities. Suppose that the company holding has 100%, even if it's not true. We have companies with shares that are around 20%. But suppose that we have 100% in all the companies. Can we say that is a single agenda or is a group of agenda? If you say that it's a group of agenda, it means that for you the formal requirement is more important than the economic requirements that are linked to the attributes of aziendality. Here we have Ferrari. Ferrari is an agenda, yes or not? Now you have to use. So this is what I say when I give you the idea. It's not sufficient to study theory, but you have to use the theory in order to solve practical problems. Because if you say that Ferrari is an agenda, means that you can observe the performances of Ferrari without taking into consideration the link between Ferrari and the other companies of the groups.
The only company at 100% with that Ferrari is not agenda because it depends.
No. 100% means just that you have the shares, 100% of the shares. Yeah. So you can say what? I have 100% of the shares, but I don't direct the company. The direction is. You can have absolutely all the autonomy to decide, because, for instance, the holding companies say to the board of directors of Ferrari, you can decide. I give you the delegation to decide in your business, the luxury business.
They should be able to achieve the purpose.
First of all, can we see links between Ferrari, Maserati, and other companies? They operate in the same sector, in the same industry. They produce cars. How can we imagine to have a system that is absolutely separated from the others? This is not a system. This is a subsystem, because you have a lot of transactions between Ferrari and Maserati, less transaction between Ferrari and Fiat, but we have a huge link here. There are some production processes that are the same. Where I produce components of course of Maserati, I also produce something that is useful for Ferrari. Okay, so I cannot say that this is a system, is a subsystem. And if all are subsystems because they operate in the same sector, it means that we don't have aziende, but we have only one azienda that is represented by the entire group. Okay? Yeah.
Is it a holding company at the end, or is it like a subsystem?
Okay, good question. It depends on what. In a situation like this, for sure, we have the holding company that has the direction and coordination activity. So the holding company has the rule to integrate all the business of the group, for sure. So it's impossible to say that holding company is absolutely autonomous. However, you can have situation, for instance, where the holding company is here, and here you have Ferrari, Geox, Barilla. So they operate in totally different sectors. It means that they are aziende. Normally,
Here is like extra, like the main holding company here.
yeah, is extra. So if we look at the this is the so-called legal entities map. So the map of the legal entities. At the top, you find Giovanni Agnelli, Società in Accomandita Operazione, then Exor, and then Fiat and the others. Okay.
So all these subsystems together make
The system, the Fiat system. Now,
included the holding company.
yeah. So the group here, the holding company, is communicating its mission. Okay? According to you, the holding company that is communicating the mission of the entire group has to also communicate the why to produce and the how and the why to produce.
Only the one. The one how you mentioned the brand.
Yeah, good, very good.
If you buy cheap, it's not the same price.
You cannot, yeah. Suppose so. I give you this example. According to you, the Y of 500 is equal to the Y of Ferrari.
No.
Okay. Probably you satisfy different needs. So for Ferrari, what is the Y of Ferrari?
Like ours to others.
This is generate a world of dreams and emotions. This is the why. So, of course, it cannot be for 5%. Okay, it's not a real dream. This is a dream, of course. Okay, so if you cannot here put the okay, so you are here, so you cannot put the why because the why is a specific. Indeed, if you go on the website of Ferrari, you find the why of Ferrari. And also the how. You cannot find the how of the entire group because the way you produce a Ferrari is completely different. The business model of Ferrari is completely different from the business model of Alfa Romeo and Fiat. Do you agree? So when you have to buy the input of production to produce a Ferrari, your business model says that you have to reduce the cost of production, or you say, no, it's not important the cost, but the quality of the input of production is totally different for the cars produced by Fiat. So But what are the elements? So here is good. We have only the what. It's typical for all the company. However, what are the other elements that could be common for considering our framework?
Sometimes the what, for example, some pieces of the
What is here? So there is a list of what. Full stop. The how, no. The why, no, because it's specific. What about the value creation? Can we say that the value creation conditions should be equal for all group? Yeah, absolutely. It should be equal. So for whom the group create value? For whom the group should create value? For the group itself, for its stakeholders, and for the community in which the group operates. How? Under the equilibrium conditions. You can imagine how is difficult to manage a group like this, where you have companies that operate all over the world. The way you achieve the equilibrium of interest in Italy is different compared to the way you achieve the equilibrium of interest in Bangladesh, in France, in Spain, in USA, is different. It is not the same, of course, but you have to achieve the equilibrium of interest in all the countries where you operate. That's why sometimes you cannot manage the group directly from the holding company. Why? You cannot centralize the decision making in the holding company, because markets are different. So suppose that this is a USA company, a corporation, a USA corporation, and you operate in Italy with this company. You need here the CEO normally that is Italian. Why? Because the managers know the market. That's why. Okay. So Fiat, in this case, show only the what you produce. But we can say that Fiat can also communicate the value creation condition. So you can say that we want to create sustainable profit in all the businesses that we have. Okay, let's go to, so in Ferrari, for instance, we have the what, the how, and why. But again, we don't find the value creation condition. So if in the written exam, you find normally for the first midterm, normally, I don't know if it is also for this year, but you find a mission statement. And I ask you, what are the elements that are present for what concerns the model of primary interest, and what are the elements that we don't have. So we have to pay attention on that. In this case, you can say Ferrari has the what, how, and why, but the value creation condition is not present. Remember that when you present the mission statement of your business idea, you have to include all the elements. Okay, now IKEA. So suppose that you have this mission in the written exam, and I ask you, what are the elements that you can identify? For sure, the what you produce. Home furnishing products. Is it the only company with this what? The what is only pay attention what you do. The what of Ferrari is absolutely equal to the what of Fiat. They produce cars, right? But the cars are different. Why? The business model is different. The why, yes, yeah. So the why is different. The how is different, even if they produce cars. So what are the other groups that you can say that are competitors of IKEA? Okay. Why you say? Huh? Why you say Mondo Convenienza is not a competitor?
Because it's just no, it's just me. No, it's because I'm not like furnishing.
Yeah, they are on furnishing.
Yeah, but
They-
someone comes to your house and they
Huh?
build it for you. Then you have-
Okay. So what is the difference that we have? Yeah, good. So where do you find the main difference? In the how to produce. The business model is completely different because when you buy Mondo Convenienza, they give you and yeah. So the fine. Okay. So what is the how? A wide range of well-designed functional home furnishing products. Well-designed. According to you, so now the why. Prices so low that as many people as possible will be able to afford them, rather than selling expensive or furnishing that only a few can buy. The IKEA concept makes it possible to sell the many by providing low-price products that contribute to helping more people live a better life at home. Now, this is the why. How can we achieve this why? So we give the customers well-designed home furnishings, low price. So we have two competitive strategies. So normally it's impossible to achieve together these strategies because we have well-designed products. So we have a differentiation. We want to differentiate our product from others. And what is the other competitive strategy? Is the cost leadership. We want to give the home furnishing to a lower price. Now, according to you, what are the resources that for IKEA are important, fundamentals in order to achieve this why? The designers. Designers. Why?
Because designers can realize well-designed products.
Well-designed, but it's not enough.
Let's say try to find innovation, spending less. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's not
Design furniture, so on.
Hmm.
They provide
So
different-
suppose that you produce tables, okay? So you produce tables where? Which country?
With it.
Wow.
Far from Italy, okay? What's the problem? Then you have to transport tables from I don't know, India to Italy.
even the things.
What is the problem now? So the cost is low, but the transportation is the cost is extremely high. What's the problem? So you have a truck. How many tables can you transport in a truck?
It depends, like if they're ready.
If you have designers that allow you to design a table that you can put in a pack like this, it means that you within a truck you don't only put 10 tables, but you can put 100 tables. What does it mean? That you can distribute the cost of the transportation not on 10 tables, but on 100 tables. So designers are important because they have to design furniture that can go in a flat packs. That's why this is the business model of IKEA. That's why they have so a big power.
Also because they're not already mounted, like.
Yeah. So you have to complete at home. Yeah. So suppose that the situation this year of IKEA is not good, and you want to increase the profit of this firm. So the equilibrium, you don't have an economic equilibrium, and you want to increase the performance of this firm. How can you solve the problem? So the revenues are lower than cost.
Why?
Good. The salary probably is too high of the employees.
But you should also return to the hour. Because like, yeah, you can find some like leads that.
So the first thing that you, imagine our model. What is the first thing that you do? But before the why, you remember I said that yesterday.
I need to fire some leads because it's so hard.
Now forget what I said before about the employees, the salary of the employees. But what is the first thing that you have to do when your football team you observe the board of directors? Because if the board of directors is not good, the first thing that you have to do is to substitute the board of directors. Or you can have a problem with the top managers. You have to substitute managers. Now, suppose that top managers are good, also the board of directors. So we can move on the why. The why is good because customers want your product, but the how is not good in the sense that the business model costs too much. And you have to decide what are the costs to cut. What is the first idea that you have? We cut the cost of employees?
No.
Suppose that you want immediately solve the problem of this firm. You fire the designers because designers cost too much. And you have an incentive. Shareholder asks you to maximize the profit in the short term. What do? You cut the cost of designers. And for the first year, you have an enormous profit, but you don't have the designers. And what about the profit in the long run? You have destroyed the company. So when we observe value, so how can you save the company? There are, of course, different strategies. You have, first of all, to think to the other costs that you have. Imagine can you cut the cost? If you cannot, it means that if revenues are lower than costs, what is your final conclusion? So if revenues are lower than costs, it means what? Yeah, you fail in the sense that in the market there is someone that is better than you. This is the market. Let's say that there is someone that allows customers to buy products or to a lower cost, or they are better designed than you. So you failed. If you cannot reduce the cost, so you are efficient, but you are not what? Effective. So if you cannot cut the cost, it means that this is the minimum level of cost that you can have. It means so you are not effective, and if you are not effective, you have to change your why if you want to survive. So remember that when we think to the effectiveness, the first thing is the why, the ability to meet needs of customers. If we don't have the why that is in line with the why of the customers, for sure we will fail. Okay. Let's move to Terna. Do you know Terna? It's an Italian company controlled by the state. This company is listed in the sense that if you want, you can buy the shares of Terna in the market. Okay. So we have, as I said, if I'm not wrong, yesterday, a lot of companies that are controlled by the state. So in this company, we have shareholders that are public, or better, we have the state and private shareholders. So we have to create value for whom? Can you see a conflict between? Can you see the conflict between private and public shareholders? Yeah. Why? Because normally the interest of public is different from the interest of private. Because the interest of public, for instance, could be what? The interest of solve some problems, social problems. The interest of private is to make profit. And what happens in this situation? The board of directors has to do the interest of who? Both. Good. Both. Because if you think too much the interest of the public shareholders, so it means that, for instance, in order to solve social problems, you are not able to make profit, and private shareholders do not invest. And what if you think too much to the interest of the private shareholders, that you don't have the company that is an instrument for the collectivity to have services in an efficient way? Terna, for instance, operate in a situation of monopoly. So we have a monopoly in the transmission of energy in our country. How can it be possible? And before we said that the monopoly is not good for the market, but in this case, the monopoly is in the hand of the state. And the revenues, the price of the revenues are not formed in the market, but is the authority of energy that fixes the price of the energy transmission. So we don't find the market here. Now, I had the opportunity to do courses, training courses for employees, a lot of employees, I think more or less 700 employees of Terna. So I know Terna quite well. And so now try to analyze this mission. The what? Manages electricity transmission in Italy. It's simple. How? Guaranteeing its safety, quality, and affordability over time. The why is not present.
It's not that therapy value. Not that wide.
No. Pay attention. When they say value creation, we create value, it is not the why, it's the value creation condition. So remember that we distinguish the why of the company from the value creation condition. Are not the same.
But they're both on the side of the circle, part of the circle. Like they're both important.
What and how are present. And the why, can you see the why in the mission is not present? It's a good answer in the sense that we don't need the why because we operate in this situation of monopoly. And I thought you are the first one that say that. Good. After I think 4 or 5 years that I think so good. I think that I increase your motivation, right? So it's non-material. Yeah, and it's yeah, but it's true. Yeah, but suppose that now we want, so we are here and we can use the projector, the computers, thanks to Terna. Because if Terna doesn't work, and it happened several years ago, I don't know if you remember, we have a blackout. We had a blackout more or less for 1 day. And the problem was created by Terna. And it's extremely difficult to manage the transmission of electricity. There are a lot of engineers there, so it's difficult. So now I ask you to give the why to Terna. Yeah.
You add something really important.
Yeah, suppose that you don't have the electricity in a hospital. So here, can we give, this is what I asked to them. So give me your why to the also the man. So did you give the why? Try to give a why. Yeah.
The necessity fundamental good for everyone. Starting from the power service.
Okay.
Without electricity to work everywhere.
Yeah, but you have like we generate a world of dream.
Generate a lot of possibilities.
Try. I don't want to give an answer.
They give the possibility to engineers to work.
Not only to engineers. We try to elaborate a why we give to our country what?
Improve that.
We improve, yeah, but I think that here is even more. It's a basic need, not just improve.
Illuminate people's full of life.
Yeah, why not? It gives you the possibility to or illuminate your life, that is, or something like that. Good. So
We give light to your life.
yeah, will be we illuminate your life. Yeah, in every sense. Okay, good. Now, in addition, the mission also contains for who and how to create value. Since it specifies that the value should be created for, now pay attention, for shareholders having also social, ethical, and environmental responsibility. So can we say that so we have for whom we create value, a part of how we create value, we don't have the time reference. We don't know if it's a short, long, medium term. However, can we say that the how create value is in line, but for whom create value is in line with our theoretical framework? Why not?
There's no the firm itself.
Good, very good. Remember that. So because here we have shareholders and of course other stakeholders, but it's not in line with our framework because we don't find here the firm. So, and the firm is important because when we have a conflict, when we have competition among stakeholders, we have the right thing to do is to do the interest of the firm. And the interest of the firm is to survive and grow. So we can find the best solutions for this interest.
Survive.
Okay, so you say if the firm doesn't have an interest to survive, who has to express the interest of the firm? The board of directors. So the board of directors has to, of course, we cannot take a coffee with the firm, so it's not a real person. But according to the institutional theory, according to us, the firm is like a real person with its own interest. And for us, this is important because we can measure the gap between the interest that is expressed by the board of directors and the interest that the firm should express in order to be aligned with a common good. Okay. Okay, so these are the parts that we find and the others that we don't find. This is the mission of Amazon. We aim to be Earth's most customer-centric company. What do you think? Is there why? Yeah, for sure.
And for what not but what is the value the interest and cost?
Yeah, we don't have the what? Good. Why we don't have the what? Do you need the what of Coca-Cola?
No.
Do you need the what of Amazon? Or you know what is the what they do? So if you are so famous, you don't need to say what is your what. You cannot say, okay, I produce drinks. I'm Coca-Cola, I produce drinks because I know that you produce drinks. Okay. However, I had some cases. For instance, one was Poste Italiane, even if now they changed their mission. I had lessons for a lot of lessons for them for the financial statements, and they say we don't need, for instance, we don't need to evidence the what because everyone know what are the products that we produce. What are the products of Poste Italiane?
Something like a bank. Not just,
Is an insurance company. Is a bank and insurance company. So it's not what we normally think. So I said, okay, so it's good for you, but I don't want to stop. Okay. So according to you, What is the value creation condition of what is the value creation condition of Amazon? Amazon wants to create value for whom? Hmm? So customers, pay attention. Customers are instruments to maximize the value for someone else, or they are really the end of the company. Apple, for instance, customers are instruments or are the ends of the company. I think when you, for instance, reduce the battery, the time of the battery,
But no,
you say,
this is not the new piece of data that a person gives to Apple, for example.
yeah,
And that's the reason because they make money from the data.
yeah, but pay attention to the difference between customer centricity. So you are important for me because you are the best instrument to maximize profit, and you are important for me because I want to serve you.
Because Apple still does type of reputation, even if they now to track the other reputation, but they still use their own data.
Okay, I would agree with you. However, I have my idea on Apple, and I don't know. What do you think about what about Amazon? Is the same. So the customer centricity is referred to customer as an instrument or as an end of the company.
But we have Amazon using the service connected to you because Amazon is not just the leader.
If we have, pay attention, customer centricity that is instrumental to the profit maximization, it means that Milton Friedman was a genius. Yeah. So why? Because, yeah, but why? Because profit, so if we link the needs of customers to the profitability of the firm, it means that market is the best way to allocate resources. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that like we're just like the end. The real instruments are the people that are selling things on Amazon.
What about Alexa? What about Alexa? What about Alexa?
Okay. But like in the case of Alexa, we are hosting the final. We're at the end because like Alexa has also many things in it. Like with Alexa, you produce money also with Spotify, with YouTube, with updates. So
Okay.
yeah,
So good. You have your okay. You have your opinions. We have more or less 15 minutes. Remember that is the value creation conditions for business entities. What is the difference between these value creation conditions and the value creation conditions that we described yesterday, that is valid for all organizations? What is the difference? Here we can substitute the concept of value with profit, and instead of saying value of production, we can substitute the concept of value of production with that of revenues. So in the first part, we have costs, summations of all the costs of them. You can find in other slides also an example. So in the first part of the equation, you find the summation of all the costs for the entire lifetime of the azienda. The cost is given by the quantity of factors of productions multiplied by the prices of the factors of productions that we use in our production process. Plus profit should be equal to what? To the revenues. Revenues are represented by the summations of all the products that we sell during the entire lifetime of the azienda. And revenues are given by the quantity of products that we sell multiplied by the selling price. Okay? We can say that revenues is the same, should be equal to what? The cost of production plus the profit that we are able to produce. Now, this is what I said. Okay, I want to give you the link between economicità and the economic equilibrium. Remember that the economicità is not a result, it's a method of action. So effective and efficient. My question is, if you have a company that doesn't have profit but losses, can we say that this company is not producing with economicità? Good, good. We have, for instance, one company of the group that operates with economicità. It makes research and development. We have costs, not revenues, but it's fundamental for the business of the group. Okay? However, if we have an azienda, a business entity that is autonomous, for sure, the economicità should lead to the economic equilibrium, so to the profit. This is the important part, not the profit in the short term, because we are talking about the economic equilibrium. Economic equilibrium look at the long term, so not only today but also tomorrow. So remember that for business entities, if you operate with economicità, you will achieve the economic equilibrium in the long term, not in the short, because sometimes in the short term you have losses. So suppose that you want to increase the effectiveness of the company. What are the costs that allow you to increase the effectiveness of the company? But the results you will see just in the long term. What kind of investments you can do in order to increase the profitability? You can, for instance, invest in research, invest in training courses for employees. These are costs. It doesn't mean that if you have losses, you are not overrated with economicità. Okay? Now, the problem now is what should be the amount of the difference between revenues and cost in order to say that the firm is creating value. Because if I say Fiat has a positive result, revenues are higher than cost. My question is, can we say that it is creating value, economic value, not sustainable? Can we say that it's creating value? Okay, and my answer is this value is equal to €1.
Depends on the.
And you find €1, so you say that every year we have a positive results, but this result is always equal to €1. So it's not creating value. Why? Because you have to ask to the shareholders, the thousands of shareholders. You have a dividends that is equal to €1 for everyone. Are you happy? No. So what should be the amount, the difference of the, so what should be the amount of positive income? Here the answer. We have the creation of economic value when the net income, difference between revenues and costs is positive, and we have profit for the owners. This is exactly what I said, if I'm not wrong, last week. We have enough net income to satisfy the needs of, so when we have net profit, it means that we already satisfy the interests of employees, right? Because it means that we pay the employees, we have the cost of employees. we paid also banks, the interest rate to the banks, and also the suppliers. Then we have revenues that are higher than costs, and we say, okay, we should have enough income to recognize a reward to the shareholders. How much we have to give to the shareholders? It depends on what. Suppose that you put 100 in a firm. What is the percentage of income that you want? What is it? So you put 100, you invest 100, you want 3%, 4% on the investment that you did, right? So suppose that we invest in a company like Geox. You invest in a company like Geox 100. What is the percentage that you want? Okay, you can say 4%. You invest 100 in Pfizer. 100 what? Euro. You not perfect. No. 100. It depends. So now you are in. So here you know what is the activity on Geox. You say this is what we are doing. You know that. You say, okay, I want to know what are the profit of the last year. This is more or less the 4% that we guarantee to our shareholders. Now here you have Pfizer. Pfizer asks you money because they are elaborating another vaccine for another pandemic.
4% for wrong.
Yeah, 4%. You get 4. You get 4 at the end of the year. So dividends for 4. So here, how much you want? 4.
But Pfizer?
Pfizer. What's the difference? Why here we say I invest, but yeah, because of the risk. Because you give 100, but what is the risk? If they fail, because the vaccine is not good, you lose all the amount. So you say, okay, I want to risk, but I want that you recognize me a high percentage of dividends. That's why when we invest, we consider 2 elements. Not only the remuneration, but also the risk. These are the 2 elements that we consider. So when we say we want profit for the owners, this is the distributed income. What is the amount? It depends on the activity. Suppose now, so we have 100, and we distribute. We have this. This is it's not the amount given by the shareholders. This is the amount of net income. And we said that the right remuneration for shareholders, we have to distribute to the shareholders 40. Okay? Because 40 represent the dividends that satisfy the interest of shareholders. They are satisfied when they get 40.
But I don't understand that with the one that's satisfied.
It depends on the activity. So if you invest in Geox, for you, for instance, you say companies that operate in this sector give around 4%. Okay?
Based on the other company.
Yeah. Okay. And what about the other 60? This is the second part of the profit for the firm and all its stakeholders. Its stakeholders. So it means that when you consider the profitability of the firm, since you want to create value for the firm itself, remember, you want to create value for the firm itself. The profit that remain after the distribution of dividends represent the remuneration of the organization. That remain in the organization and allow the organization to better survive and grow. And this is Cassandro, one of the most famous Italian scholar of economy aziendale. Here was fantastic. He said, seeing profit as it really is, as an indispensable means for ensuring the existence and development of the company. He said, this is the profit. It's not the remuneration of shareholders full stop. The profit, according to the Economia Aziendale, is the remuneration of the organization. It's also a way of disarming those critics who, in the name of outdated ideologies, it refers to the socialism, seek to attack it from a moral standpoint, portraying it as something reprehensible. So he said, if we see the profit as the remuneration of the organization, means that the profit is good for society. Because if the firm is well run and you have profit, you satisfy the interests of all stakeholders. Because this is the common good theory. So this is the Economia Aziendale. And okay, I want to. Oh, these are other. I want to conclude with the definition of conflict of interest. This is chapter number 3. You have to for the midterm you have chapter number 3, but you find the entire lesson if you want. For the chapter number 3 that I recorded last year. However, once I explain you what is the primary interest of the agenda, you know what is this primary interest, I think that I have the responsibility to explain what is conflict of interest and corruption. What is conflict of interest? Conflict of interest is a situation where a person has a secondary interest, a manager, for instance, a secondary interest that tends to interfere. Remember not interfere, but tends to interfere. And I use this term, tend to interfere. Why? Because the conflict of interest has different degrees. If I receive, for instance, a gift from a supplier, I'm responsible of the procurement of the firm, and I receive a gift from the supplier because he wants that I buy his products. It's corrupting me. Okay, you say, okay, please, this is a gift for you. What do you need? You like it? Okay. And I say, okay, it's good. What is the price of your product? It's higher than the others, but it's good. Yeah, no problem. So it tends to interfere with the primary interest of the organization. But pay attention, because here are the 3 elements that should be present in order to conflict of interest is not a behavior. Corruption is a behavior. Conflict of interest is a situation of risk. There is an interest that tends to interfere with the primary interest of the organization. For instance, I am doing the exam to my son. What is the interest of my organization? I should be independent, objective in my evaluation. However, there is a family link that tends to interfere with my duties. So if I'm correct with the evaluation, I'm not a corrupted person. Otherwise, I'm a corrupted person. And I finished just to show you, these are the organizations that today are adopting the definition of conflict of interest that I elaborated and I put in my book. So these are the organizations. For instance, Bank of Italy adopt this definition and was for me an instrument to diffuse the culture of the primary interest of the organization.